This is the fastest and most powerful truck that I currently own. And even though we're already sort of pushing the limits of what the stock engine can handle, today we're going to be throwing caution to the wind and turning things up even more. And of course, we have to change a few parts to make that happen. Now, I got to admit, I am a little bit nervous because, we're kind of in unknown territory right now. There aren't a lot of people that punish the 8.1 the way that they do the LS engines. And frankly, there's been nobody I've seen in a pickup truck application that's found the limit. So if it's got to be me, I guess I'm on the chopping block to find out what it can hold up to. Now, the fastest this truck has ever gone was an 1166 at 118 miles an hour. With a race weight of like 5,200 pounds, and that was on 91 octane pump gas. Now, my LSA supercharged step-side Silverado, I actually run E85 on that truck. And from a high performance standpoint, E85 is an awesome fuel. It does burn a lot cooler, and it has the equivalent of about 105 or 110 octane, which means we can run a lot more boost and a lot more timing while sort of mitigating some of the risk. So today, that's what we're doing. We're converting the ugly truck to run on E85. But the only drawback to E85 is it requires approximately 33% more fuel volume at the same power level, and I don't think the parts that I have installed are going to keep up. So we're going to be making a few changes to the fuel system. We are going to be making a few tweaks to the computer, and then, yeah, I guess we're going to find out exactly what an 8.1 can hold up to, or we're going to be finding more ways to turn up the power later on. So let's get to work. Yes, the battery is disconnected. Alrighty, so we got the bed off the truck. We have my old 450 fuel pump pulled out of the tank, and then the Racetronics hot wire kit is removed. Both of those things are going to get upgraded with something a little bit bigger and better. First, got two quick errands to run. Number one, time for a monthly haircut, and number two, I'm going to stop off at the only E85 station in the state of Utah to fill up my gas cans with the good stuff. Alrighty, stop number one is complete. We're headed just a little bit further south on I-15. We're going to Christensen Oil Company, and I'm pretty sure, like I said, they're the only place around that sells E85. Alrighty, so we're back from running our errands. We've got 10 gallons of fresh E85 and we are ready to get rocking and rolling on our new fuel system. We now have literally twice the capacity that we had before, so huge thank you to Brian. He's actually a viewer who donated these parts you're about to see. I know he bought them for his project, and I think he had some troubles with his engine and then decided to change direction with the build. So he sent them over to me, and I'm definitely going to put them to good use. So thank you, Brian. I really appreciate it. We've got ourselves a dual Walbro 450 pump set up. It's got a nice billet hanger for the top here. This will plug right into the tank. No modifications needed. It's got -8 feed and return fittings. I had to buy a couple adapters to make it work with my stock lines for now. And he also sent along a wiring harness. But the only problem with this harness is the way that it's configured right now. Both pumps will come on at the same time, where we don't really need two fuel pumps running all the time, especially at idle and when you're driving around town. So I am going to stage these pumps. Long term, we're going to be using the Holley Dominator computer to control that stuff. But for now, since I don't have the Dominator yet, we're going to go old school and we're going to use a Hobbs switch. I picked this up from Racetronics. It's a 10 PSI switch, basically. So whenever the motor reaches 10 pounds of boost, which is fairly quick with our turbo, that'll engage the second pump. I bought an extension harness, which we're just going to kind of graft into the harness that Brian sent me. Super simple electrical stuff. We'll get the new pump in the tank, and then we'll get this thing wired up and fired up, and then I'm going to show you guys the magic in the tune that we're going to do to actually make this engine run properly on E85. Alright, it seems like today is just one of those days where I can't get anything done because I'm constantly running back and forth. Fuel pump is in the tank, all the hoses are connected, but I realized I didn't have the right hookup to get the Hobbs switch attached to a vacuum line. So I'm running to, I think, Tractor Supply just to get like one NPT fitting, and then we'll continue on with the wiring. Alright, here's attempt number 2. First 2 places were a bust, so let's try the big blue store. Alright, I'm gonna go turn the key. You guys watch for leaks. And that is why you don't want both fuel pumps running at idle. And no, this is not homemade ethanol. Although, if you did make your own ethanol and make some gasoline, it's pretty much the same stuff. And just like that, the ugly truck is back running on ethanol and ready to kick some butt at the roll races, or Who knows? We'll probably lose again. We seem to have a pretty big losing streak. All right, we got to interrupt the video right now because I just took the truck for a test drive after editing and realized I have a pretty major problem. Now, I didn't realize this before, but it turns out the fuel pumps that I installed in the tank, they do not have a check valve in them, and that's causing me a really low fuel pressure condition when only one fuel pump is running. Now, the kit was actually designed with a wiring harness that has both fuel pumps come on at the same exact time. But if you noticed when I was idling the truck earlier and I just kind of pulsed the second fuel pump, well, that creates way too much fuel pressure at idle because the size of the fuel lines and the regulator, they're just not big enough to return all that excess fuel back to the tank. So I was right to stage the pumps because I knew that's what the stock fuel lines and regulator would support. But the problem is because the pumps do not have a check valve in them, we're backfeeding pressure from the first pump through the second. So how am I going to fix that? This is the Walbro 450 I just pulled out. If you'll notice, this one does not have the words no check valve written on it. And I just kind of tried to blow backwards through this one and it won't. So basically I'm going to install this pump in the number 2 position. So when the number 1 pump is creating pressure, it won't be able to backfeed, back into the tank. So that should solve my problem of low fuel pressure at idle. I did manage to get it up to 10 pounds of boost just for a split second, and the second pump did come on. Fuel pressure jumped way up. It was like 70 or so, which is where it normally was under boost. But let me tell you, holy crap, when that second fuel pump came on and things started doing what they were supposed to, yeah, things started to happen in a hurry. I'm kind of scared of this truck, especially on the street tire. So anyway, we've got the fix for their problem. I'll verify this in the next video that you guys see. I don't have enough time to do it right now. But yeah, make sure your pumps have a check valve in them if you are going to stage them like I did. Just to give you guys a little bit of perspective, when I first put this big block together, I was so concerned with it like blowing a piston and stuff like that. I limited the wastegate to 5 pounds of boost and I kept the ignition timing at about 10 or 11 degrees. And ever since then, we've kind of slowly been sneaking up on it, but the tune-up that I just loaded into the computer is going to be running at about 20 degrees of timing, and boost will honestly be probably pretty close to that as well, 20 pounds of boost. We ran like 17 PSI at Vandermeer on pump gas, so I don't know how much this little wastegate adjuster will actually let me go, but I'm basically gonna crank the knob all the way and let her eat. I'm really excited to see how it's gonna do. We absolutely are gonna be putting our drag radials on. We'll probably air them down a little bit because, of course, traction is the ever-present issue. Overview of the install real quick. We've got ourselves 2 450 pumps in the tank. We've got this hat actually has a -8 feet in return, but we've necked it down. We're using the stock lines front to back. This is a 3/8 feet and a 5/16 return, which as far as I can tell, that'll probably work with what we're going to be doing. I might be pushing like maybe 700 horsepower. So I think the sized lines that we have now will be adequate, but long term we are going to redo everything. I'll probably end up putting a fuel cell in with either triple pumps or like a really, really massive external pump. The injectors that we have in there now, they're 1000 cc injectors, and they'll support the power level we want to be at on E85, because on pump gas, I've only ever used like 60% duty cycle on the injectors. But to make 1500 horsepower on E85, we're going to, of course, have to put a much larger injector in, larger fuel lines. We are going to go to a Holley Dominator. Eventually, this vehicle will be FlexFuel. That's one more thing I wanted to bring up. The COPO truck out there somewhere, I actually made that truck a true FlexFuel. So I could go to any gas station, whether they've got pump gas or 100% ethanol, and whatever mixture we put into the tank, the computer will sort out the tune. Where on this truck, I have to manually check the ethanol content each and every time that I fill up. This one is 70% ethanol. And if there's a significant change, or like say if I want to put pump gas back in this thing, I have to calculate the percentage of ethanol and then flash a new tune into the computer. Inconvenient, but it's only going to be like this for a little bit because I have a Holley Dominator on order. And as soon as that gets here, we're going to put it together, with a FlexFuel setup and the whole 9 yards. So I'm really excited about the future of this truck. We got a roll race coming up for me Sunday morning, and you guys will see that in the next upload. So You're not going to want to miss it. And if you want to check out more like fuel related stuff, check out the video that I did on the COPO truck where we converted that to FlexFuel. That was a lot of fun. You know, we installed the ethanol content sensor and all that good stuff. But that's going to bring this video to a close. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. We'll catch you again soon. Next time, we're going racing.